Welcome to our first ever pre-recorded Coffee with Cobb. My name is Christian Baycoat. I will be your moderator and host for today. And our topic for today is keeping morale up in the digital work environment. We're going to be discussing how to keep up work morale and keep that cohesive and collaborative workplace feel while everyone is either working from home or working in different locations. Today's presenters are going to be Christina Brennan. She is the implementation manager for Kazoo, and our very own Noah Mathis. She is Cobb's imprint director. And without further ado, Noah, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Christian. I
No
am
problem.
really looking forward to this episode. It's a little bit of a fun one, a little different from the ones that we've had in the past. I was looking forward to it because I think, this idea of keeping morale high in your business period is super integral to your business's success. And specifically here at Cobb, we often talk about our company culture and the atmosphere that we want to cultivate because you want it to be something that employees not only love, but one that they can be a part of and that they can really take ownership in. And so Kazoo is something that we have implemented here and we just absolutely love it. And so I'm really excited to have our personal Kazoo extraordinaire, Christina, here with us. And she can tell you guys all about who they are and what they do and how they do it. So I guess this is the perfect time to hand it on over to you, Miss Christina.
Thank you, Noah, and thank you to the Cobb team for having me. I'm super excited to be here and to discuss Kazoo's employee experience platform and the valuable impact it can have on customers just like Cobb. So I'd like to start today by focusing on the topic of employee engagement. Employee engagement is a topic that you've probably all heard a lot about, and it may even feel like a buzzword at this point. But what does it really mean, and how does it impact organizational success, right? We define employee engagement as the measure of an employee's discretionary investment in their job. So the degree to which they are involved in, enthusiastic about, and committed to their work and workplace. By focusing on the employee experience and working to increase that employee engagement, companies can see a few benefits, such as increased productivity, higher customer metrics, reduced turnover, and lower absenteeism. So simply put, employee engagement is directly tied to an organization's success and the business results overall. So how do we understand the practical details that go into the employee engagement experience? So we all know the COVID-19 pandemic has fundamentally shifted the way we approach work. I know we've all been impacted to varying degrees, and no industry has avoided disruption. Companies have experienced sweeping strategic, organizational, and operational changes. Workforces are physically dispersed. Culture and employee connection may have splintered, and employees everywhere are dealing with varying levels of stress. But even before the drastic shift over the last 6 months, the way we work was already changing. So the pandemic has just really significantly accelerated that change. Now, as we're trying to navigate these changes and the new normal of our work lives, we're all trying to tackle four big challenges. The first being, how do we maintain and strengthen our work relationships and keep that office culture alive when there's no office? How do we know our employees are doing what they're supposed to be doing and that they have what they need to succeed? Do managers have what it takes to manage their teams remotely? And how do we win the war for talent? So Noah, what has Cobb's experience been like navigating all these crazy changes?
Well, I think kind of similar to how most businesses have been. It was kind of, one day business as usual. And then a couple days later, nationwide, everyone was working remote. Places were closing for a little bit because you just didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And again, just kind of like everybody else, you're not only thinking about how your business can move forward to keep functioning, but you have to have all these creative ways that you're going to stay engaged when you all have to work remote, because most of our employees here at Cobb are working remote. So then we had to kind of pick up these tools that we had before. We had Kazoo before the pandemic. We had Teams before the pandemic, and video messaging and instant messaging, as well as normal emails and calling and things. But we had to really use those in a way that we didn't before. And I have to admit that I think through the pandemic and using those tools and really getting the value out of them, I almost think in some ways we've become closer, and we have become more connected because I think we've been a little bit more intentional about it. So it's been really cool to use things, and specifically talking about Kazoo, to see how we're using that in a pandemic to feel like we're in the office even when we're all working remote.
I feel like that really makes so much sense to me, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. I think one of the key questions that's come up during all of this is, how do you close that engagement gap, especially when people are in kind of a new normal? So for Kazoo, we consider the employee experience really the foundation of modern people strategy and the way to deliver a more engaged employee experience and then thus better business results. So basically, Kazoo's employee experience solution was built to turn outdated approaches to performance, recognition, and surveys on their heads so that people can move to a process that's continuous, unified, and puts people first, no matter if we're in the office or working from home. So to understand how to impact this, we'll talk about the employee experience. So the employee experience is the quality of emotional connection that an employee has with their company. It's shaped by their interactions with people, policies, processes, and technologies during significant moments in their employee life cycle. So for us, the employee experience is made up of 4 pillars. The first being connection, the bonds between an employee, their manager, coworkers, and the company's mission and values. And then meaningful impact. An employee's sense that their work matters to the company, to themselves, and to the world at large. Appreciation, knowing that your work has value and being recognized and rewarded for your contributions. It's a huge one. And then growth, making sure there's learning opportunities, continuous feedback, and ongoing support for career development and just your everyday work. So when these 4 pillars are present, a workforce is both inspired and aligned. With one or more pillars missing, a company's alignment and inspiration becomes imbalanced, and that leads to a strained employee experience and thus a lack of engagement. So there's 4 types of employee experiences prevalent in companies today, and some of these may sound familiar. The first being a surviving employee experience. Employees in a company with a surviving employee experience are, for the most part, neither inspired by the company's mission and not aligned to their day-to-day work. Employees feel disconnected to their peers, their leaders. They don't feel appreciation for their work. And then there's off-course organizations. They may feel high inspiration, but usually a sense of low alignment. These types of organizations might do a great job instilling strong culture and in exhibiting core values, but the company isn't aligned and employees don't really have a clear sense of their purpose. This can also often affect employees who might find their work enjoyable, but they'll eventually leave for a better opportunity. And then there's companies with the bare minimum employee experience. They have low inspiration, but high alignment. So these types of workforces may be super productive, but their employees are disengaged. The company may be functioning efficiently and profitably, but employees just aren't excited about their work. They don't feel connected, and they really don't have a good sense of appreciation for their efforts. And then lastly is the thriving employee experience. These companies have high inspiration and high alignment, and a workforce that's engaged and productive. Thriving organizations have employees who find meaning in their work, as well as the ability to grow. Employees feel aligned with the trajectory of the employer. They feel connected to each other, their leaders, as well as appreciated for their contributions. So what I've seen at Kazoo is, to get to thriving, companies must do a few things. First being, create an organization that can grow in the face of future disruptions. Put people in the employee experience at the foundation of the company, and probably most importantly, make getting there a priority. So all this talk about employee experience and engagement likely has you all wondering how exactly Kazoo fits into this picture. So at the heart, Kazoo is a desktop platform that lets employees reveal, recognize, and reward each other for great work. So it's really pretty simple. Employees can send recognition to anyone in their organization, which then populates in real time on an activity feed for everybody to see. When sending recognition, employees can tag core values, tag skills, and that way they can highlight what these practices look like every day. And employees can also earn points to spend on rewards of their choice.
And something that I think is really cool, kind of piggybacking off of this, is it's all so customizable. The companies who use you guys really have a hand in shaping the way that your company is going to be recognizing each other, and you can really build out your reward store. And one of the options that you guys had suggested to us was the option to buy points to send, so that employees, they would, take their points that they've earned, but then instead of kind of cashing it out for an item, they would just get more points so that they could recognize more people. And, we did our little check-in after, a couple months just to see where everybody was at. And it was really, honestly, a little bit surprising at how many employees were buying points to send. I would even say that most of our employees were buying points to send. So it's really interesting that it makes recognizing each other fun, and it kind of incentivizes that because you just want to keep doing it.
I love that story, Noah. And I feel like that just speaks so much to the idea of kind of how Kazoo helps propel engagement that then builds upon itself. And the idea is that everybody is motivated by different things, and sometimes things that are surprising, like to your example, sometimes people are really engaged enough that they just want to have more points to recognize more people. So I think that's awesome, and that's kind of the whole intent of Kazoo, is to drive that internal culture and motivation and make it feel like it's just another part of what's going on internally versus kind of this outward extension of something that's not related to the true culture. And then another aspect of Kazoo that I think is really important, especially around engagement, that I want to talk about are the insights that we offer. So Kazoo provides really easy access to detailed insights that inform how to best drive continued engagement across your organization. Kazoo empowers leaders to see how their teams are collaborating and encouraging one another, and allows them to better identify opportunities to drive alignment and drive increased engagement. And then admins can gain valuable insight into key areas like program adoption, cross-departmental recognition, and reward activity, I think, which speaks to your point, Noah. Mm-hmm. So in conclusion, I'd love to drive home just a few ways that Kazoo helps organizations reach that coveted thriving status. It drives a more connected and aligned workforce via a centralized, easy-to-use platform focused on recognition, rewards, surveys, and performance. It allows employees to see and understand what great work looks like while celebrating the successes that are happening every day. It also helps reinforce best practices, core values, and participation in those behaviors that matter most. And leaders have increased visibility into the wins happening every day that they might not see otherwise. So simply put, increased engagement leads to better performance and happier employees. We know that much. And engaged employees are not only more successful, but they're just more fun to work with. So that said, Noah, I know you can speak firsthand to this. What do you think about Kazoo's effect on the overall employee experience at Cobb?
Yes, well, we really kind of just took it and we ran with it, and we implemented it in the beginning of the year. And 2020's had its own set of circumstances because 2.5 months later, everybody was working from home. But it's really been an awesome way to see what's going on in the company. Even when we were here all together, it really, like you said, it creates cross-departmental recognition. And when I see somebody on my team doing something awesome, I have a platform to say, oh, look what this person did, so that people in sales or people in the warehouse, all of these people in these different departments can see that. And you can give your little high fives to it. And I call it our own Cobb social media, because at the end of the day, or at the beginning of the day, you can scroll through and see all of these little wins that have been happening all across the company. So that's been really, really neat for us. But even bigger than just cross-departmental for us, at Cobb, we have branches all over the state. We have the Western team and we have the Eastern team, and then there's the headquarters in the middle. So it's also let us know what's going on in the other offices. What are those little wins that we would have never really found about, that we might not have time to talk about at our meetings? And whether it's, a win on sales or a win on a marketing project, or just something funny like, oh, so-and-so told a really bad joke in the break room, but it was awesome. Like, it's been a lot of fun. So I think it's really just helped us kind of take all this company culture, like I was speaking to, and it puts it somewhere that's really accessible for us. And it's really been a team thing too. Like, everybody has a profile, they have their picture and their bio, and our HR team has really done a good job at making sure that it's part of the onboarding process, so that when new employees come, it's part, you fill out all that official paperwork, but then you also you make your Kazoo profile. So it's really been fun to see what everybody's up to, and you have those fun pictures and your bios, and it's just really been a good way to see what's going on and what are the good things happening, especially when we're not together and we're working from home. We can still see those little wins that are happening all over.
I love that. I think it totally is meant to be an extension of the culture, and you all provide such a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we've
It's
reached
just
the Q&A section of our Coffee with Cobb. Do you ladies have anything else to add about Kazoo and the digital workplace and work from home and how to keep that environment a little bit more close, even though we're far away?
Yeah, absolutely. A few things that we just wanted to make sure everybody knew was Noah and I've talked about this before, but a lot of times people ask what type of companies are a good fit for Kazoo or come to Kazoo. And I feel like Cobb is such a perfect example of the very kind of different array of people that we have as customers, from big to small, to across all different industries. That Kazoo is something that is really meant to work in a culture, no matter what your culture might be.
Yeah, I remember even asking you in one of our conversations, and I was like, "Well, how big are the companies that you normally work with?" And then
Yeah.
I heard the numbers, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're like the babies." I wasn't expecting that, but it's worked so well for us, and it's really connected us in a way that I think it's perfect for somebody our size, and it's perfect for people 10 times our size, or it's perfect than somebody half our size. So I think it's a testament to you guys and the platform that you create, because it's tailored to the businesses who use it. So no matter what size your business is, I think there's awesome things that can come out of it.
Totally. I think that's so true. And speaking of making sure it feels like something that's accessible, no matter what type of company you might be at, I figured I would also mention that it's super easy to access. No one knows all about this. You can hop on your computer and log in. You can also access a mobile app. So if you're somebody who's on the go during the day and you want to just kind of check in, see what's happening across your organization, that mobile app is a super easy way to do it. You can send recognition, you can get rewards, you can do all those fun things that Kazoo was built to do.
Yeah,
It's like a little internal social media platform.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's been helpful for us because, not everybody in our company has a computer, because they don't, like some of the warehouse guys, they don't ever need to use a computer for work. So they just have it on their phones. And then when you check an Instagram, you can check Kazoo too.
That's right.
What's
Exactly.
going on?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The idea is to make it easy to access and easy to connect. And then, yeah, that was really all I wanted to just make sure I expressed about Kazoo. And, it's great to hear such specific examples of how Cobb has made such great use of Kazoo.
Yeah, well, we've absolutely loved it. It's been something that's been really fun, a little adventure for us to really build out this little social media that's personal to us. And it's been a lot of fun. So thank you so much for being here and telling us all about it. I'm really excited to share what you guys are doing.
Thank you. So thank you for Coffee with Cobb. This has been great. And I've really enjoyed being able to talk a little bit about Kazoo and hear more about you all.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Noah. We'll probably be seeing you again for another Coffee with Cobb. And for everyone who is watching now, thank you for viewing our very first recorded Coffee with Cobb. And I hope it's viewed over and over again. So if you have any other questions for either Christina and or Noah, be sure to reach us back at coffee@cobbtechnologies.com, or you can go to cobbtechnologies.com and go to our Coffee with cobbtechnologies.com tab and review all of our archive videos, including this one and some other ones that may interest you. Thanks for joining us. That's